There is what is called the 5-hour rule. It's very simple. Yet again, many people will slip up on that 5-hour rule. Basically, spending at least 1 hour a day, just one, to actually learn something or practice something. Hello and welcome to the Motivation Station with me, your host, Rudo Nyamoto. It is such a pleasure to host you and have you on this lovely morning. I'm broadcasting to you from Heart and Soul Broadcasting Services, and we are in Harare, the capital of Zimbabwe. Motivation Station, what is that all about, you may be asking? Even if you're not asking, I'm still going to tell you what it's all about. We're going to talk journeys of how do we get from A to Z, not from just arriving from A and suddenly you are at Z, where you had one piece of carrot and now you have a fully fledged restaurant chain from this country to that country. No, we're going to keep it real. We're going to keep it relatable. So let's go into a bit of school. What does the dictionary say about motivation? What is motivation? Right here it says motivation is the driving force behind our human actions. So as a person, what is that thing that drives you? So it further breaks down the definition as it is that process that initiates, that guides and maintains goal-orientated behaviors. So it's not something that just pops up and suddenly we are there, but it's talking about processes. When they talk about 2025, a lot of times, at the beginning of the year or even building into the new year, at the end of the year, you have people say, so what are your New Year resolutions? Have you written down your goals? Have you written down your vision? For some people, it starts and ends there. It's one of those to do just so that I can tick it on the list to say I also wrote my resolutions. But it's beyond that, for you to realize any impactful result, you've got to put in the work. It's not just writing it down and throwing it down somewhere and then 15 December leading towards the end of the year, you're looking for that notebook. Where did I put that notebook? There's more to it than that. When we're talking about motivation, when we're talking about a whole lot of things, they all attach themselves to one word called success. And one of the things I had to demystify, one of the things I had to break and, re-look at the word of success is it's not just attached to money. Success is not just about the dollars. Success is the progressive realization of your God-given purpose. So if you're taking a journey towards that purpose, that reason, your why, then you are definitely a successful person. There are a lot of people that have fat bank accounts, but they are not feeling that sense of satisfaction because they are not walking in their God-given purpose. They are using whether it's a job, the business, to finance and to meet needs. But there is a greater need, which I believe is that purpose, your reason for existence, which each and every one of us has. We all have a reason for an existence. No one is on earth by mistake or to just add on as a number. I want to give us this very interesting quote from Paul Harvey. And Paul Harvey says, in times like this, you need to remember that there have always been times like this. And so these times are no different than previous years. They are no different to times before. In short, he's basically saying there's nothing new under the sun. What you're experiencing right now, what you are feeling geared up for the coming year, somebody has experienced it. Somebody has been through some things that you have gone through or are going through. So it's not for us to feel like, oh my goodness, so it's a totally new year, there's no solution. There's definitely a solution because somebody has been through that which you have been through, and these times have been there before. So I just want to remind someone that, you're not lost. You're in a great space. It's a good year. And a good year actually starts with the mind believing and telling yourself that it's going to be a good year. Not necessarily looking at your bank account, not necessarily looking at the things that are not done on your to-do list, or just so many negatives. So I want to talk about the power of decision. Yeah. Each and every day, you have a choice to get up or not to get up early or not to get up early, to do or not to do. You have the power of decision. You have the power of choice. So our goals also sit and hinge on our decisions and our choices, because achievement needs some form of action. So it's almost like goals are, like, I would say, a doing word, because to have a result, there has to be some kind of action. The power of decision, to go or not to go. So, as we are starting our 2025, you need to literally project yourself to the end of the year. What does my December 2025 look like? And reflect on different areas. For example, your health, your finances, family, business, and talk to yourself about the projected result. What is it that my December should look like? That is what should give you the energy to drive and say, this is going to be a good year. Not necessarily what you have, what you don't have, the things that may be setting you back from achieving what you desire to achieve. So that is that power for decision. I know, everybody is just on that high. It's the beginning of the year. Have you set your goals? And you may ask me, you're talking about goals. Have you set your goals, Rulo? Yes, I have. I had to, because coming on the show and talking about goals with no goals, I wouldn't want to be, that the fake speaker. So what I have to say and to remind us is, write down, write down, write down. The greatest things that we get to achieve in life actually come from the simplest of instructions. The simplest of instructions, which sometimes are the most difficult to actually achieve or follow through. Write down, write down, write down. Why is it important to write down? Because research shows that those that set goals, written goals, mental goals, there is a difference. There is a higher percentage of achievement from those that write their goals down versus those that do not write. I think the statistics, when I looked at it, we're looking at about a 70-30 type ratio. So that speaks volumes, write down, write down, write down. It's simple, so it seems, but many of us will say, yes, I have my goals, but are they written down? Why is it important to actually write them down? Because you need to review them ever so often. Not once a year, not once a month, but actually they say successful habits from successful people, they review their goals on a daily basis. You have to put in the work. Nothing happens by magic. So I want to remind you that writing down is not just the end game. Writing down and then meditating, thinking through, processing those goals is also very critical, because you need to become one with that goal. You need to live it, eat it, drink it, believe it, and see it actually manifesting as you are going through your year, your week, your day, your hour, each and every day. So it's not enough to just write down and just leave it till December and expect miracles to happen. I want to talk about let's talk about 5 simple habits that you can adopt to bring change to your day-to-day living. Very simple habits, which some of us are probably doing, some of us struggle with, or some of us don't see the importance. Number 1, get up really early. Get up early and get moving. Getting up early is a very key thing in your journey of your daily success, because you are creating habits. They say that, your successful people, the people that we probably look up to and say, wow, I wish I could, raise my business, my job, my life to be like this person. It's if you research and trace to how they start their day, they probably start their day 6 a.m. or earlier, not 6:30, not 7, not 8 a.m. where you're like, okay, you know what? Let me snooze my alarm. I've got many more hours in the day, and you realize that you've actually lost the early bird time, which allows you to take time to reflect, meditate, and plan. And when you get up, it's not get up and grab your phone. You're already on WhatsApp checking messages and wanting to see, what's the latest story, who's doing what, who's where, who's trending, who's not trending. But to get up and do productive things. What are the productive things? Actually clearing your mind and meditating, visualizing those goals that you have set. That is a perfect time. They say your early morning is your optimum time because your mind is able to grasp the alertness and soak it all in. And that is the time that you actually dictate how your day will go. Whether you're going to have a good day or not, it starts with that early morning. So when you're setting your goals, you can actually set that to be a goal to say, I am going to get up early each and every day. So you find that the average working person starts their day later, and they have the long lunches to say, look, I can come in after an hour. If their lunch is an hour, if their lunch is 45 minutes, it's like I can steal an extra few minutes. But for the personal success journey, you need to be so intentional about time and valuing that it is something that is so important. What you had yesterday, you cannot recover. So you have to maximize and utilize your time effectively. Number 2, read daily. Yes, successful habits. You need to fill your mind with new things. You need to fill your mind with the right things. Something that grows your mental wealth. There's nothing more valuable than, growing your mental wealth. Number 3, plan your day, plan your week in advance. You do not just walk into your day not knowing what's happening at 8 a.m., what's happening at 9, 10, 11, 12. Who am I meeting? What am I seeing? What appointments? Don't just surprise yourself and say, okay, today, let me just go in and try and see if I can make 10 calls. Or at lunchtime, you're like, okay, it's 1 p.m. Geesh, I haven't made any visits. Let me try and see if there's a client that I can go and visit. But planning is one key that brings us to our success. So one of the things I learned from one of my coaches was plan your week ahead. Saturday, Sunday, what is my week going to look like? And have an actual planner and list down each and everything. Plan by the day. What's happening on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I tell you, there is power in ticking off on your to-do list. It does something to motivate you to say, okay, this has been done. This has been achieved. It's actually very critical. And don't plan in your head. Put it down on paper. I know it's old school. Put it down on your computer. Put it down in your phone, but have it there so you can make reference throughout the day. Am I moving? And am I moving forward? Because you could actually be moving backwards. So it's actually very important because what you cannot measure, you really don't know if you've actually achieved. Then number 4, listen to audio programs, listen to audio books more than you listen to music. I'm not saying don't listen to music. I'm not saying, don't have that moment where you're just quiet and, listening to your soul music or whatever it is that gets you going. But listening to the audio books, audio programs, inspirational conversations, inspirational speakers, learnings are very key. It just broadens your mind. Sometimes you feel like you are not seeing any difference, but the growth, even when you then have conversations, you find that your conversation is richer vis-a-vis just talking about, what you saw on social media, but, you're able to bring rich conversations wherever you go. And finally, number 5, at the end of each day, you need to evaluate. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And how can I fix / improve? Or how can I change? How can I upgrade from all the learnings that you would have gathered from maybe what you did not do right, or from what you did right? What can I improve to actually go a notch higher? Because we never stop learning. I always believe in ABL, always be learning. That is something that sets us apart as people. So to make the first million, research says it takes about 7 years for someone, to work their way to make their first million. But after they've made their first million, it takes a shorter space of time for them to make their next million, even if they lose that first million. Why? Because that 7-year process is a process of making a person. So even as we are setting our goals, even as we are creating habits, it's a process of making. So you may not feel or see any changes or think, the getting up early is making any difference in your life, but it's actually creating a better you, which sometimes it takes 10 years, 5 years, some even immediate. You see immediate results in terms of your output. I personally started getting up early 2 years ago, and I started seeing that I actually get to achieve more throughout my day vis-a-vis the times when I used to get up a bit later. I'm not going to say what time I would get up, but I will just say I used to get up a bit later. So if I can do it, you can too. So what are you going to do differently in 2025? That is my question. I've given us 5 tips that we can, immediately adopt. It's January. Let's do this. We can do this. I'm here to cheer you on. I'm here to say we can do this, not you. We can do this. Number 1, we're getting up early. Number 2, you're going to start reading daily. Imagine when you look back at the end of the year, like, wow, I set out to read my 12 books and I actually did. Or maybe you just want to do 3 books. You want to be modest, but to just read something. It's amazing how if we were to do a research and ask people, are they actually reading? What are you reading? People will fumble. A lot of us don't want to read, but we want the knowledge. We want the wealth. We want to change, but change does not just happen. We have to find it. We have to search for it. We have to go after it. We have to be hungry for that 2025 to be different. So, number 3, plan your work, plan your day, plan your week, plan your month, but you have to put it down. Don't plan it mentally. Most of us want to say, no, I know my plan, I know my routine, but just writing it down and ticking, it does a lot to your internal, and your subconscious is more alive and literally giving yourself a pat on the back. I always talk about celebrating micro wins. So as you are ticking off day end, I had set out to do 7 things. I've managed to do 6. Well done, Rudo. Good on you. Kudos to you. Number 4, listen to more audio programs. Enrich your mind. More audio programs versus music. I'm not saying don't listen to music, but I'm just bringing encouragement and say there will be more value definitely if you try it out. Give it a go. Give yourself a 60-day challenge. Okay, let's say 90. Let's say 90-day challenge so that we create a new habit. Finally, number 5. Gosh, how do we say number 1 to be number 5? Number 5, at the end of the day, go through your list. What did I do right? What did I do wrong? And be honest with yourself. And don't give yourself 5 out of 5 where you had 1 out of 5, because you always want to be better than who you were yesterday. My parting shots as we close. Sadly, we have to go. Every good thing comes to an end for today. But of course, I'll be back right next week with more inspiration, more conversations, more tips on how to be the best version of you. So, practice. There is what is called the 5-hour rule. It's very simple. Yet again, many people will slip up on that 5-hour rule. 5-hour rule is basically saying no matter how busy you are, no matter how, I don't know, just not having enough time, you have to make time for the 5-hour rule. It's basically spending at least 1 hour a day, just one. That's like a short space of your time. You've got a whole 24 hours. So it means maybe sleeping less and giving that 1 hour to actually learn something or practice something. Maybe you're a musician, you're a guitarist, so that 1 hour to put in extra time to practice, to set yourself apart, to be that successful person, to be that notable guitarist. So learning, like I said earlier, ABL, always be learning. That extra hour that you dedicate over and above the 5 elements that we talked about will set you apart and set you up for your journey to success. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been such a pleasure. This is Runo, the Motivation Station. Join me again next week for more motivation, inspiration. Ciao.